Good morning. Welcome wherever you are from. Good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome to the first edition of the virtual fireside chat being hosted by InnoMinds in association with global technology and visionary leaders. As the first edition today, under the Powering the Digital Next initiative of this fireside chat series, we're bringing in a set of impact stories in association with global leaders to disrupting marketplaces with world-class solutions and patented technologies. As part of this, today we have the first edition where we're going to talk about how next generation surgical sensing coupled with AI-powered real-time cameras will enhance a surgeon's intraoperative decision making and improve patient outcomes. The underlying theme is all about reimagining digital healthcare. And as the host of today's session, my name is Sairam. I'm the Global Chief Marketing Officer at InnoMinds. InnoMinds is a Silicon Valley headquartered digital next focused product engineering company that works with some of the global leading enterprises, independent software vendors, OEMs and ODMs in terms of offering a compelling integrated initiative around devices, apps, and analytics, and we work to power the digital next initiatives of these pioneering leaders. Today, I take privilege to welcome you all, and thanks for joining in. This fireside chat is going to be talking about how Qualcomm Technologies, Active Surgical, and InnoMinds together are exploring artificial intelligence and 5G technologies and how they're radically altering digital healthcare and telehealth and medtech stuff. Active Surgical, the company, was the first one to offer and perform a fully autonomous, minimally invasive robotic surgery, and they recently embarked on Qualcomm's Smart City Accelerator program, which works with a larger endeavor to connect cities with an ecosystem of providers to help deliver greater efficiencies, cost savings, safety, and sustainability. Active Surgical is collaborating with InnoMinds on the development of next generation surgical sensing capabilities that will usher in a new era of visibility and insights for surgeons all around the world. Just to give you the impact this can create, let's look at some data. Preventable medical errors, the third leading cause of death over heart attack and cancer. In addition, 400,000 deaths every year are due to avoidable medical errors in the US alone, and 26% of medical errors are preventable surgical errors. That's the landscape that we are looking at. And this fireside chat will explore and highlight how next generation surgical sensing, coupled with AI-powered real-time cameras, backed by a confluence of IoT and 5G and deep learning and analytics technologies, will enhance a surgeon's intraoperative decision making and improving the patient outcomes. Without delaying further, let me invite the elite panel that we have today to share some rich insights and practical experiences. First, let me take this opportunity to welcome Sanjeet Pandit, Senior Director Business Development, Qualcomm Technologies Inc. Joining Sanjeet is David Nash, Regional President, North America and Australia, Qualcomm Technologies Inc. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I also take this opportunity to welcome Todd Usen, Chief Executive Officer, Active Surgical, and Tom Califf, Chief Technology Officer from Active Surgical. Thank you once again, Todd and Tom. And lastly, I take this opportunity to have Raj, President of InnoMinds, all of the gentlemen joining us from the United States. And I'm very sure the next 55 minutes will going to be a very insightful conversation as we unlock how digital healthcare is getting reimagined as part of this Fireside Chat series initiative. My request to the audience, you could keep your questions coming in on the Q&A window. We will try answering as many as of them. And towards the end, we will also have an interactive Q&A as we move towards the end of the session. To start with, let me have Sanjeet. Sanjeet, welcome again and good morning. Every one of you, good morning, right? Sanjeet, can you tell about the Smart City program, its vision, initiatives, and the ecosystem?
Sure. First of all, good morning to all the viewers and panelists and participants. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today. Big thank you to InnoMinds and also Active Surgical for having Qualcomm on this panel. Qualcomm Smart City Accelerator Program was launched last year. The name would suggest that it's like a investment program. It's not. It is primarily a B2B marketplace, so that the business could be expanded from B to B to C or B to B to B, or we call it normally B to B to X, where companies, governments, cities, system integrators, solution providers, right from somebody who can integrate software using APIs to advanced companies who are doing AI, to somebody who's even very critical in terms of smart cities, has a bucket truck and goes up and puts stuff, all are under one roof. This Smart City Accelerator Program is I would term it as a match.com of smart cities and smart connected spaces. And this particular program has really helped nurture business, matchmake the right companies in the right domain. And I think the most important aspect of this program is it doesn't only limit it to the smart cities arena, but we call our practice smart connected spaces. So a smart connected space could be a healthcare space, could be a airport, port, logistics, any particular area and domain that requires digitization. So that's our aim and goal, is to bring everybody under one roof to make sure that there is a vibrant ecosystem generating business through this particular domain.
Excellent. It can't get better than that to set the context. Let me now welcome Todd Usin. Todd, what is the mission and vision of Active Surgical and the disruption that you're bringing in?
Well, thank you, and good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Appreciate the time to spend with Qualcomm and Innomines. Thank you, Sairam, for that question. As you mentioned, Active is the company that completed the world's first fully autonomous robotic surgery of soft tissue. We're building hardware-agnostic surgical software that allows surgical systems to collaborate with surgeons. Basically, our mission is to democratize surgical care. We're extending insights from experienced surgeons all over the world to all surgical systems, ensuring world-class surgical care for all, regardless of location. So if you happen to be unlucky enough, in a sense, to be 500 miles away from the most experienced or talented or world-class surgeon, you shouldn't be 500 miles away for the best possible care. And to basically achieve the mission is we're visually mapping the surgical field. We're allowing our surgeons to see currently unseen critical structures and function. Basically, at the end of the day, our vision is any surgical imaging system, whether it's a scope or a robot, can be empowered by Active Surgical to allow that system to see things that are not visibly available to surgeons or to humans. We want to help both robots and scopes see things that a surgeon cannot see. But ultimately, to democratize surgery, world-class surgeon or the most experienced surgeon cannot always be in every case everywhere around the world, but there's no reason that her data cannot be. And that's one of the things that we're focused on quite a bit.
Awesome. It's inspiring, to say the least. Let me continue with your team here. Tell us about Active Edge and where are you on the implementation of the Active Edge platform, Tom? And then your first product, Active Sight, I believe is coming to the market soon. You could talk a little bit, and then Tom can also talk about the interest and the feedback that you guys are seeing in the market.
Sure. First off, thanks, Sairam, for having me today. It's great to be on a panel of just such great thought leaders in industry, and really appreciate the time everybody's putting into this. So to answer your question, Active Edge, it's a hardware agnostic platform that enables autonomous and collaborative surgery. It's a connected platform where there's components both on the edge and in the cloud. And through the integration of computer vision, artificial intelligence, and robotic systems, we enable autonomous and collaborative surgery. You're right, we're getting ready to launch Active Sight. It's our first product on the Active Edge platform. And it's an imaging module that seamlessly attaches to current laparoscopic and arthroscopic systems. We're currently working through worldwide regulatory processes, and we hope to launch Active Sight in early 2021. However, we already have 8 U.S. hospital systems committed to our pilot programs, and the early interest has been incredible. We've heard things such as active site is a surgical game changer because of the capability to provide real-time visualization of blood flow and tissue perfusion with a flip of a switch, things that just aren't available today. So we're really excited as to what's to come over the next couple of months, and really excited to work with Qualcomm and Innominds to make it even better.
Sure. Todd, would you want to add anything to that?
It's been in my experience, I've been in medtech for 30 years in some pretty large companies and working with physicians all over the world. And to have the feedback from doctors and watch their reaction when they utilize this or see it, say it's amazing that I can't get this technology today. I mean, the identification of blood flow, which is the first principle of surgery, to not be able to see that in real time as often as you'd like without any other mechanical means or injectables, is something that it's a game changer. And ultimately, they're really excited about the opportunity to identify tissue. And so it's been a wonderful journey so far, and we're really excited for the future.
Sure. Let me now have David joining us here. Dave, thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about some of the future technologies you're seeing playing a critical role in the evolution of smart cities from a Qualcomm perspective.
Sure, Sarwan. Thank you very much. Various technology trends are influencing this space. Massive IoT, private LTE, private 5G networks, and we're now adding edge AI, whether it's a camera or video AI, voice AI, or other intelligent sensors. Qualcomm has established itself as a clear, leader in this space in the 5G era, and over the years, with over 61 billion cumulative R&D spend, we're driving a rich roadmap of system innovations, placing us in a unique position to lead the 5G IoT expansion by transforming the intelligent wireless edge, combining 5G, AI, and edge cloud computing. Our continued leadership in research and engineering allows for a future of increased innovation across multiple sectors as 5G connectivity becomes ubiquitous and supports the creation of innovative new devices that can address the requirements and opportunities offered by digital transformation in supply chains and future 5G networks.
Awesome. And did you say that $61 billion of R&D budget?
Yeah, that's correct. Always a big focus for Qualcomm is looking down the road and investing a good portion of our revenues towards additional R&D.
It looks like a GDP of a small country. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me now go back to the active surgical executives here. Todd, you recently announced a $15 million funding round. How do you envisage in using this funding round and then your commercialization efforts over the next 6 to 12 months? Some insights around that.
Sure, Saram. First of all, we've been blessed to have absolutely wonderful support from our investors that believed in the company originally, from DNS Capital, Great Point Ventures, Tau Capital, Sony, Rising Tide, 8VC, and then we've now welcomed to lead this newest round, Artist Ventures and LRB Health. The group has been so supportive, and we're so thankful for that opportunity to believe in us and take the next journey. Our main goals right now with this $15 million round is we are preparing ourselves for the active site FDA submission and clearance, which is happening this year. We're very excited about that. And then with that, we have first in human studies that are set up both in the United States and around the world. And I say that we don't need first in human for FDA. We're what's called class 2, no human clinicals needed. But we know, being in medical device, our physicians are excited for this technology. Our surgeons are looking forward to it, and we want to get this into patients to prove the value of this technology. Then we have a team that's set up for a limited market release globally. We have our sites in the United States. Tom mentioned there's an early 8 or 9 sites that are identified with some major thought leaders in the U.S., and there's another 4 or 5 key sites around Europe to begin that. We have clinical trial, 12-month trial we just signed in Europe, one of the largest hospitals in Europe. That we're very excited about as well. And then the last thing is data collection, which we're prepared for. The opportunity to, through the use of the active site, the company is going to capture tens of thousands of surgical data points prospectively. They'll be uploaded to the cloud, and then they'll be fed back to our active site image modules wherever they are. And what I mean by that, to put it in perspective, we'll have over 500 annotated surgical data sets this year by the end of the year. And to put that in perspective, to annotate 1 hour of surgical video is something that surgeons aren't really excited to do because it takes very time consuming. There's 60 frames per second, 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour. 1 hour of surgical video is 216,000 frames that need to be truly annotated and labeled. And physicians don't have that time. That could take up to 4 years. Our algorithm with active site and the work that we're doing with Innominds, we can do a 1 hour surgical video in about 10 minutes of true annotation, ground truth data with physicians. And finally, our data collection, our Active Edge platform. We're welcoming, and we set up the platform to receive data in right now from India, from Hong Kong, from Europe, and sites all over the world that we've already signed agreements that we're receiving surgical data. We're very excited about that. So that's the next 6 to 12 months. It's pretty busy, but we're very excited.
Awesome. I heard about pretty much the ability to look at 216,000 frames, video annotating that at a drastically, scalable ability, data collection, and then globally distributed model where surgeons can do it from anywhere. That's as bigger as it could get. Now, let me have Raj join us with some perspectives that he would share. Raj, how's it going today morning? Good morning.
Good, Sairam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about the relationship with Qualcomm and the reflections that you've carried over the years from Innomind's perspective as an authorized design house for Qualcomm.
The journey has been fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a more symbiotic relationship with Qualcomm and their OEM ecosystem. We started off as a licensee, trying to build make in India devices, tablets, for education and different verticals. And over the years, we've moved from consumer devices into more industrial, medtech devices. There's so much innovation packed into smartphones and tablets, and the compute and the cameras that are there, the sensors that are in smartphones. Qualcomm's bringing those into adjacent markets, including telemedicine, robots, and drones. And so this long tail of industrial IoT, smart cities, connected cars, vision processing in general. Qualcomm's put together an ecosystem of product engineering firms or design houses to help their OEMs. And, to have multi-teraflops of compute available in small form factor SoCs, heterogeneous compute with DSPs and GPUs and offload neural processors, it takes a lot of software smarts and, to develop a precision engineered operating system that gets orchestrated through the cloud. So, we've been fortunate to have been working with a number of OEMs, including Active, to take a lot of technology that came in from the mobility first initiatives to the AI first initiatives. And that's where we're beginning to see a lot of traction, and indeed very grateful for the partnership with Qualcomm.
Excellent. Thank you, Raj, for that. Let me get back to Sanjeet. So, Sanjeet, how do you see this whole partnership between Qualcomm and Active Surgical impacting the future? Sanjeet, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Active Surgical recently joined, the Qualcomm program as a participant in the Smart Cities Accelerator program. We're stuck with the name Smart Cities as a moniker, but I think what's important is to understand is we are playing in every space. They'll be using a lot of Qualcomm technologies with the help of enablement from Innominds. This particular enablement would help Qualcomm as well to get into the super specialty zone of the healthcare space. We are already there in the connected world within the healthcare industry. I think what's important for us is to give Active Surgical the latest and greatest of what chipsets and software and AI suites that we are coming out with. with the help of InnoMinds, who are our ADC, Approved Design Center, they would be in a position to enable devices that would be very unique in this particular domain. And I think Active Surgical, their technology team, and also Tom and Todd have been very open in terms of adopting and embracing the new technology and going forward with us as a leader. And I think this particular partnership will be used in digital surgeries and real-time humans, as what they cannot really see right now. And I think this is truly amazing. This is an area that we always envisioned to move into, and we feel this is going to be a catalyst to get in there.
Excellent. Thank you. With that, Tom, as the Chief Technology Officer at Active, so what is the role of 5G, powerful system on chips, driving edge compute and ML, and how are they helping to prevent surgical errors with better vision processing? I think that's going to be one of the key things we wanted to hear from you today.
So, Saram, 5G and these SoCs are foundational to not only the technology that we're developing, but artificial intelligence and machine learning applications as a whole, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in industrial or automotive. It's really required to reap the benefits of any AI capabilities, especially in the OR. The Active Edge platform, as you know, and some others do, it primarily operates on very dense data sets that are made up of multiple streams of 4K video. So we measure our data sets not in kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes. We measure our data sets in terabytes. So you can imagine what, in terms of transport, is required to really get to scale, which enables AI and machine learning to excel. Current data sets or current transport technologies that are available in most healthcare systems today would take a single data set, and it would take about 28 to 40 hours, depending on size, to transport a single surgery up to the cloud. With technologies like 5G and the SoCs that Qualcomm is working with us on, we're able to do that in 15 to 18 minutes. So as we all know, again, AI, the key to AI is scale, data collection, so that data scientists around the world, both within Active and outside, can work on this data and have large training sets, development sets, validation sets. So again, this collection is super important. Qualcomm's work here, quite honestly, has been breakthrough. Their leadership, not only in developing the SoCs, but also the rollout of 5G globally, is exactly what we need in a partner to be able to enable this, as Todd said, in facilities that may not be local to the nearest care. So within cities and rural environments. So it's very, very important from the connectivity side, also from the vision processing side, the ability to have compute AI accelerators on the same chip while having a form factor that can exist in an operating room. So, low or no fans, low size, low touch, all of these things are why we're partnering with Qualcomm to make sure that the technology stack works today and then is future-proof as we move forward.
Excellent. Small form factor. I can understand how precise the engineering has ought to be. I heard a lot about 5G from all of you. I can't stop this asking to Dave. Dave, speaking about 5G, can you give us a quick update on the status of United States mobile operators and their 5G deployments as you see that every day?
Yeah, certainly. And, a lot of this is obviously public information. If you watch any advertising, you can see that the operators are pushing heavily on the 5G message. Initial rollouts were kind of focused a year and a half or so ago, really around new spectrum opportunities in millimeter wave access with both Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile. Now that we are kind of condensed to the three major operators with the T-Mobile Sprint merger, we're really focused on that kind of high new spectrum availability. And then the use of existing spectrum assets that the operators have in low band and even mid band is now being deployed today. You'll see some operator messaging around nationwide coverage using those existing spectrum bands. And then if you're paying attention to the FCC auctions, you'll see there's a current auction that's just wrapping up now and others in the future that will be focused on new spectrum availability to give a lot more capability and bandwidth to these operators to roll out new networks. That's very encouraging for the ecosystem, for Qualcomm, and of course for the operators themselves, as they get the ability to use both their existing low band and mid band, as well as upcoming mid band and high band spectrum for 5G deployments. It creates a number of new different opportunities for the operators for supplying the connectivity and availability with some of the new benefits of 5G, particularly around bandwidth for data speed and capability, but also the capacity issues with the rise and increase of data usage from existing consumer customers and business customers, and then the new business opportunities like we're talking about today. The need for more spectrum is loud and clear. And I think the FCC is reacting appropriately, allocating these new spectrum bands and availability. And you'll see all the operators use these various different groups of spectrum to offer different service and availability. Thank
you, Dave. 5G is a household word. My 9-year-old son asks me, when is the 5G phone coming? So, Let me get back to Raj. Raj, tell us a little bit about the vision at InnoMinds in terms of powering the Digital Next initiatives, all of these global leaders that we work with, and how do you envisage leveraging the power of AI, 5G, IoT, and more so from an AI-driven camera technologies that you work a lot about?
Increasingly, we find ourselves working with customers that need a great chip, but the chip needs to be orchestrated from the cloud, software-driven, SoC, if you will, from the cloud, and subsequently cognition. We have two sort of polar ends of compute. You have specialized workloads in the cloud, data center, and you have the NVIDIAs and AMDs that are working on that space. And then you have inferencing, which is significantly different than purpose-built compute infrastructure that's in the cloud. For inferencing, you need heterogeneous compute. You need to leverage CPUs and a combination of DSPs and GPUs and an offload neural processor. So most of our customers now, whether it's cameras for surveillance, cameras for automotive functional safety, or cameras for precisely the applications that Active Surgical is setting out to do, you need this healthy combination of chip and cloud and then AI ops, smarts to be synthesized, and seamlessly blended. Security, device security, application security, HIPAA compliance. So bringing an enterprise secure cloud infrastructure to play. So this is where we're beginning to see a lot of our customers, asking for help. And we hope to continue our journey to be an AI-first platform.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. Let me go back to Tom. Tom, so how is the participation in the Qualcomm's Smart Cities program so far working and benefiting you? And also, what is the ultimate goal of this partnership and collaboration with InnoMinds and Qualcomm on either side of it?
Sure. So, as Active Surgical, we're about 3 years in now, so we're an emerging company. We're consistently searching for force multipliers, not only in teammates and internal team, but also as we direct investments, partnerships, initiatives, and the like. So we're thrilled to be part of Qualcomm Smart Cities because we see that as a force multiplier. It's allowed us access to other members like InnoMinds and key players in the ecosystem of both IoT, visualization systems, and the like, and really help hone our product strategy, ultimately deliver greater efficiencies, cost savings, safety, sustainability, and the like. The relationship with InnoMinds itself wouldn't have been possible without Smart Cities, quite honestly. Our partnership will ensure that surgeons everywhere will have greater access to cutting edge tech that'll enable them to make better informed decisions with the use of our real-time overlays and clinical insights, ultimately making a greater impact on reducing the number of avoidable surgical errors that occur each day. So our membership in Qualcomm Smart Cities, coupled with our partnership with Innominds, we truly feel will empower Active Surgical to fulfill our mission, democratizing surgical care, extending insights, everything from the data from the most experienced surgeons and all surgical systems, and truly ensuring world-class surgical care for all, regardless of location, regardless of time.
Sure. Thank you. Let me get back to Sanjeet. Sanjeet, help us with some revolutionary, game-changing developments that's happening in the ecosystem of smart cities with Qualcomm. You're on mute. Mute.
All right, sorry about that. That was twice in a row.
Sure.
I think I speak my best when I'm muted. So, all right. As far as smart city space is concerned, I'm calling it E to E to E. Everybody connected to everything and everybody everywhere. That's this particular challenging time that we were in has pushed this into a reality. Look at this call itself. Everybody's from everywhere getting on a call, and we're doing this fantastic panel right, in different times. Collectively, I think it allows for higher productivity and higher connectivity, and hence 5G is going to play a big role. Remember two alphabets, AI. That is going to change the way things are. What AI is today is what internet was in 1997. It is just the beginning. Never did you imagine internet evolving and morphing into a situation where you would be able to order a packet and get it delivered same day, or have, so many features and so many, change the way you live. And I think AI is just at the nascent beginning. And I think that's going to change the way and pave the way for faster, innovative deployments. Autonomous driving and connected cars and vehicles is going to play a big role. Again, AI, playing a very, very good role in that in terms of decision making. LiDARs, cameras, these are the things that would, again, change the way we live and work. For all this, you need high compute and connectivity. And I think that's where Qualcomm steps in. And, we have always believed to be first. And if you're first, you don't have to come back and say you're better. That is somebody else's job. So we'll let somebody else do that. But I think at the end of the day, us being first with all this, and just like Active Surgical coming out with a unique solution, and we being in part of that to first to market, is what we always believe in.
Yeah, true. I think we have a confluence of firsts today from Qualcomm and Active. Innominds has been one of the first authorized design houses for Qualcomm from this part of the world. So it's a great panel to be there. Let me get back to Todd. Todd, from a milestone standpoint, from the next 6 to 12 months, what is that you're eyeing for, and the sort of impact that you're seeing overall in the collaborative surgery market?
Well, thank you, Saram. As we discussed earlier, some of our milestones, and the number one is obviously our FDA clearance, 510K clearance at the beginning of from submission in the first quarter of 2021. But Sanjeev just mentioned the auto industry and autonomous cars. And so if you look, the auto industry has done a phenomenal job leading consumers down the path towards autonomous cars. So for the last decade, we've all grown accustomed to newer cars featuring safety sensors and cameras, for rear view cameras to guide us, to prevent any accidents, to sensor alerts the driver in your side view mirror for blind spots, or your steering wheel or your seat vibrates for a lane switch. All these are data to the driver in a traditional car. And while the world is ready for autonomous cars, maybe, there's no question are they ready for cars. And now we're moving towards autonomous. Our job, and where we can make a great difference in the future, is before we get to autonomous robotics, and keep in mind, we've completed that world's first autonomous robotic procedure. Robotics procedures are done in anywhere from 6 to 10% of all minimally invasive surgeries. So the large volume of procedures is still done laparoscopically and arthroscopically. And we believe that we can bring these same technologies, more data to the driver, if you will, more data to the surgeon in those procedures to prepare the world for robotics first, and then for more autonomous as the time goes on. So the same evolution towards autonomy is happening in the medical field with surgery. While robotics, autonomous robotics may be a vision, today's surgeons can truly benefit from the latest advancement in surgical intelligence and visibility by empowering scopes and robots to see what humans cannot see at present. So in the same way that auto sensors can inform drivers of potential hazards, surgical intelligence and visualization tools can help surgeons eliminate any potential blind spots. The way I look at it, the opportunity to get real-time data and see things that are not available today, you look at in intraoperative data and intraoperative imaging is like a batting cage or a driving range. I'm a former baseball player. I was really good in batting practice. I could hit anything. So as soon as I got out on the mound and someone's throwing 90 miles an hour and snapping curveballs off, I was walking back to the dugout very often. It's a lot different when you're in real time. Doctors can get all the pre-op information they want. And it's very important, all the navigation, the data, everything going into surgery, but nothing prepares you for when you're on the table, patient's on the table, and you have to make decisions, consequential decisions. And having that real-time data makes a difference.
Absolutely. Can't get better than that. Let me get back to Dave. Dave, your current take on the current inflection point with regards to the whole hardware refresh that's happening due to the advent of 5G and also this offering getting delivered as a service.
Yeah, certainly. So as a lot of folks have mentioned on the call here, this idea of kind of moving into adjacent markets with traditional Qualcomm technology is something we've been driving for a long time, whether it be automotive, IoT, a number of different areas. We feel that the inflection point will come in late 2021. The current and upcoming 5G deployments will initially be focused on enhanced mobile broadband services for smartphones and other data devices and compute type devices, and expanding into more vertical industries, including industrial IoT. 5G is well suited for a wide range of applications from healthcare to industrial segments like automated guided vehicles, industrial gateways, sensors, and human machine interference. So, we see all these different vertical segments popping up. Active is one great example of a idea to make, livelihood better, to make existing processes better, et cetera. And our whole philosophy at Qualcomm is to create these kind of technologies and enablement for others who have fantastic ideas to use those capabilities to enrich lives and improve the way things get done.
Sure. Thank you. Talking about ideas, Raj, how was the experience so far applying a confluence of these technologies and solving a myriad of engineering challenges, helping Active Surgical in this endeavor? And how is the whole Qualcomm skill set that Innominds carries, helps this whole initiative? Some engineering thoughts around that?
Sure. I think we're focusing on inferencing at the edge, Sairam. I think Active Edge, the whole platform's adoption, portability, and utilization, shrinking the size, shrinking the bill of materials, getting it into a form factor that has sort of thermal sensitivities and thermal dissipation, power and link budgets that are suitable for operating theaters and surgical theaters, where you can't expect active cooling to happen there, but still deliver tens of teraflops of compute to the edge. So that is a significant engineering milestone, I should say. But also, I think our plan is to roll this technology out very aggressively in the next 2 quarters. I think we want to have our Rev A boards, software, and end-to-end cloud and orchestration, up and running. I think Tom and Todd, they obviously a med startup burns through a lot of money. And so they've given me some really, tight budgets and controls to say, hey, go build this thing, demonstrate it, and only if we meet, portability and performance criteria, we're going to go be successful in a Series B. So it's really, there's a lot of privilege and an honor to work with industry leaders like them. But it's also complex, and we don't take this seriously. So I have my team. We're going to be burning midnight oil, delivering this product in early January, and hopefully you'll see Gen 2 of Active Edge, at CES and at healthcare conferences and MWC, first quarter calendar year 2021.
Sure. Thank you, Raj. Sanjeet, what's your relationship and how do you see InnoMinds evolving over the period of time that you have seen working with them?
My relationship or Qualcomm's interaction with InnoMinds has been, I would say, the last decade. And we saw them initially come out with dongles for CDMA-based devices, then tablets. Then they supplied a lot of I think they came up with some CDMA feature phones earlier in the day. And from there, they have evolved to a point that they are, now into an extremely super specialized segment, enabling, camera vision, and also taking AI coupled with it and delivering it across multiple domains. And with Qualcomm's vision of making sure that we get the best of the breed together, I think they play a very, very critical role in enabling boutique use cases where it comes to high level of customization, very unique service offering, and also coming out with very innovative ideas that can be later morphed into a larger offering in a particular industry. Like take the case of healthcare. For us, once this comes out, we will work with Active Surgical to figure out how this could all be taken into as a service model in the healthcare industry. And having InnoMinds be right in the middle of this would help us make those changes and adopt, because not one size fits all. So there will be some quick changes that need to be done, and having the team like InnoMinds and their expertise on the Qualcomm platform does go a long way.
Terrific. Thank you. Time to do some crystal gazing. Todd, looking into the future, where do you see the future of collaborative surgery in the next 5 years, and how does success look like for the company and Active Edge platform?
Sure. Well, Saram, it's the future is brighter when you have world-leading companies like Qualcomm, and then great engineering staffs and teams and software like InnoMinds caring about the patient. It's not always about the technology. It's ultimately about the patient. You started this off by the third leading cause of death in the world is preventable medical errors, of which 26% are preventable surgical errors. That's a big deal. And so while it'd be really easy to say we want to make every robot better or every laparoscope better or every doctor better, number one goal is we want to reduce readmissions, we want to reduce length of stay, and we want to reduce more morbidity of patients. And the way to do that, when you look through the technology that's out there, the future of surgery is going to be driven by data, following a similar path of the advent of GPS. So if you think about 15 years ago with GPS, it might tell you, you might plug in you're going to the airport, and depending on where you are in the world, you might be 10 miles or 10 kilometers from the airport, because that's the shortest distance. But then groups like Waze invented technology that have said, I'm not going to take you 10 miles or 10 kilometers, I'm going to take you 12 miles or 12 kilometers, but I'm going to save 40 minutes of your time, because up ahead, because of my crowdsourcing, there's an accident, there's construction, there's things that you can't see. Well, imagine aggregating all the data and insights from tens of thousands of surgeons performing laparoscopic surgeries. Visualization and data from prior surgeries is aggregated, annotated by the surgical community. We can tell you what's up ahead, to the point that there's 3D digital mapping and geofencing to tell you where the landmines and the landmarks are. In order to do autonomous or collaborative surgery, you need to know not only what something is, but exactly where it is. And we need to take this industry from where there's surgical assistance, where a surgical plays the active role in all surgical decisions, and uses a systems feature set to augment surgical assessment, to helping with decisions, to going to guidance, to moving to the point that AI and machine learning system is capable and intelligent enough to perform surgical procedures to complement the surgery. My personal vision of where the future goes is twofold. One, it's about when systems can see what humans can't. That's robots, laparoscopes, what have you. That makes a difference because robots really have some amazing technology, but when they can start identifying things, that'll make a difference. And then tissue. Positive tumor margins have not gone down. The numbers of positive tumor margins have been pretty steady after key procedures. Active site, our intelligent light, then combined with data, we're already seeing lymph node with the data collection to go to sentinel node and to make sure that we can help those patients that have breast reconstruction or head and neck cancers and really make a difference. Again, it's about patient outcomes. And with the data and with partners like Qualcomm and Innominds, I think we're well on our way.
Excellent. That makes me come to one last perspective I would like to hear from Sanjeet, because we have a slew of questions coming in from our audience. Sanjeet, so overall, what is the Qualcomm's vision in enabling digital healthcare for the future?
I have a lot of friends in the biomedical industry, colleagues, and also some of the friends I went to the university to. And they have always been telling me that, having edge connectivity in our devices would play a big role. That said, we have a very dedicated team within Qualcomm in the IoT division that focuses on healthcare enablement, connectivity, compute, cameras into the healthcare industry. We do feel that this is going to be, this along with education. This along with education is going to be the two areas that are going to be the fastest growth in the next 36 months in terms of enablement, telemedicine, hybrid learning. All these kind of features are, with this challenging times, has acted as a catalyst towards exploring those ideas. Our vision on the healthcare side is to be a very key player in enabling the latest and greatest on the edge in terms of hardware when it comes to compute and camera vision. And we would like to move in with the right ecosystem partners to offer this as a service and be able to enable the unique, complicated, Qualcomm-size complicated use cases that we can enable through the right partners.
Excellent. David, before I go to the questions, quick thoughts on the whole ecosystem that we discussed about today. How do you see the future unfolding?
It's very interesting, right? And I think I mentioned before the idea of creating, these technologies that can then be used in multiple different use cases, different verticals is very important. That's why partners like Innominds and Active Surgical guys on the phone with us here are very important, because the scale that needs to be reached here and the various different segments that these end devices can go into is just massive. And I think there's a number of different small companies that have great ideas, and having partners in the middle who are very familiar with Qualcomm platforms, the likes of Innominds, is very important to us. And again, we've spent a number of years thinking of how our systems, SoCs, both the processing capability and connectivity, can be developed and used for multiple different verticals. And I think, some things that we haven't even thought about today will become mainstream a few years down the road. Innovative companies will look at this technology and capability and the stuff that 5G has to offer around massive bandwidth capability as you get to the higher millimeter wave type frequencies, the low latency capability that's coming that makes kind of your latency down in the single digit milliseconds, enables so many different use case scenarios. Again, some that we're thinking of, some that we haven't even thought about. So our vision of kind of going into everything connected in this massive IoT world is something that we are very focused on and excited to see unfold.
Thank you. We have seen it all, but at the end of the day, I think it is about improving a patient's outcome, which I think if we can meaningfully do, it's going to be a radically different world. Let's get to some very interesting questions. We'll try to cover as many as we could. Todd, this is addressed to you. What other information does Active Surgical provide other than vessel identification and perfusion? And what type of tissue characterization does you provide?
Well, I think the question was probably asked before I mentioned some of the information on true tissue and tumor margin and the opportunity to. The goal is, and what we can see early is, it's almost like the fingerprints of tissue. And to truly characterize tissue is when you can get down to lymph nodes turning into sentinel nodes, as I said. And obviously a sentinel node is, we know there's a high chance of recurrence of cancer. So that's some of the tissue that we're working on. But also veins and arteries, nerves, the identification. Those are some of the key critical structures, common bile duct ureter. Things that are critical to physicians that are costing U.S. healthcare dollars and global healthcare dollars, millions and billions of dollars annually to treat because of damage to those patients.
Excellent. And I think you spoke about this, but let me ask this. Is Active Surgical 510K approved?
510K, it's, as I said, we're submitting. We've had our pre-submission. We're submitting within the next few months to the FDA for our active site technology, and we'll be all set to go in first quarter of next year. Very excited.
Sure. And this is a question to the Qualcomm ecosystem. The audience is asking, we're launching a new medical service that gathers heart data from a wearable and transmits all of the telemetry data back to our cloud for analysis. And our goal is to utilize AI to analyze all of this data to assist with better patient outcomes. How do we reach out to Qualcomm Smart Cities and show this?
Well, I think we are always, you could reach out to, if they have my email, you can reach out to me, somebody from my team would be in a position to kind of help you guys out. Or you could just reach out to the Qualcomm Advantage Network, QAN. Just, you can web search it, QAN. And in the QAN, there's a Smart City Accelerator program. You could just click on that, and that's how you can reach out.
Thank you. That was informative. Todd and Tom, the question says, does Active Surgical have plans for real-time ultrasound image analysis?
Yeah, sure. I can take that. So the Active Edge platform is all about data sets from multiple specialties and multiple devices, whether it's surgical visualization systems, MRI, CT, ultrasound. And where the data becomes truly valuable in driving decision makings is when it's correlated. So absolutely, we intend to incorporate in ultrasound, high precision ultrasound, things like OCT, things different visualizations of multiple parts of the anatomy, and then correlating that together and driving the clinical insights is the ultimate vision of the Active Edge platform. And then being able to deliver that to the edge, which in our case is the operating room, is the ultimate plan.
Thank you. There's another follow-up there. Tom, it's actually addressed to you. Mr. Tom, 5G technology, distance between surgeon and surgical site. So what are the challenges that you're seeing in data delay, and what are the distance limitations for real-time surgeries?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And the way we see it is 5G actually solves for a number of the data latency issues that are seen today. In a strong 5G network, the likes that Qualcomm is rolled out with some of their operators and carriers, we're able to get latencies down below 10 milliseconds. And that's great. So if we can have end-to-end delays of 10 milliseconds, you're actually able to do a number of things really well. If you look back to the 90s, I believe it was the 90s when the first transatlantic surgery was done over copper, that surgery was still able to be performed. Now, as we can look at rolling that out to scale, being able to collect surgical data in real time, provide inferencing and model updates in real time, we're getting to the latencies, the system latencies that make all of this, that truly enable all this to happen.
Sure. There's a question to Raj. It says, what are these complex engineering skill sets that you would need to have to solve these sort of problems? And how do you see integration of devices, cloud applications, and cognitive analytics all coming together to power the digital next initiatives of healthcare companies?
So there's multiple sets of skills. I think we in the embedded systems world, there's this class of engineers called kernel programmers or systems engineers that understand how to work with small footprint operating systems, small footprint math libraries, how to extract every flop from a DSP and a GPU. So that's one side of engineering smarts that you need. Of course, all of this seamlessly has to be orchestrated through the cloud. So, in a sense, it's a digital twin, right? I mean, whatever is being inferenced at the edge, there's a digital twin equivalent in the cloud that you can do software updates, over-the-air updates. So you need some cloud smarts, enterprise cloud smarts, and then security and anonymization of data. Tom alluded to it, synthesizing multiple sources of data to provide your insights. So whether it's electronic health records, whether it's other pre-existing surgical data, all of this has to be anonymized, made HIPAA compliant, and it's a very regulated industry. So to be able to put all of that together in the cloud, you need native cloud smarts. And then, the algorithms are all, of course, Active's IP. That's, their biggest, where their biggest investments are going. And to be able to port those algorithms and accelerate them on the heterogeneous compute blocks, and doing the model lifecycle management, which is after a model has been trained, after it's been tuned. It's not a one-time task, right? It's continuous learning. And so as the model matures and as the algorithm precision improves, the outcomes, the surgical insights and outcomes become better. So that model then needs to be transported and sent to the edge. So there's that whole model lifecycle management and AI ops. So there's engineering smarts that you need to be able to orchestrate that. So these are three very different cross-functional skills that you need to put together to deliver, a product that performs to, the FDA sets the bar so high for class 2 medtech devices like this. And so that's what I would say, that's what our teams are focusing on to deliver for Active.
Thank you. Here's a common question for Dave. It's actually addressed to you. Does pandemic accelerate 5G deployments from operators in the US by any means? What kind of impact the pandemic has created? That's the question.
Yeah, very interesting question. I think, the initial restrictions around what people could do for outside interaction, right, kind of initially had kind of slowed things down. The ability to get technicians out to sites to deploy, to do testing, right? So much testing goes on as you roll out a new network and new technology, and that usually involves multiple companies. If you look at a carrier, you've got the carrier engineering teams, their infrastructure providers, the device side folks. So you have people from multiple companies coming together to test, and that just wasn't allowed for a long time. We were able to virtualize a lot of that stuff and have pretty good efficiencies. So I won't say we didn't miss a beat, but in fact, there was a little bit of a slowdown. We're starting to see that stuff ramp up again. As you've seen, the testing activity has been validated in a first site location, and then it's really up to the operator and their engineering teams to be able to deploy that across multiple sites. So as that initial testing was validated and done in a FOA area, being able to go out and then deploy widely is happening. You're seeing now that both T-Mobile and AT&T have announced kind of nationwide 5G coverage. So that's being able to go out and touch every one of their cell sites of coverage to upgrade the network for 5G radios and that capability. But I think the real activity now is just around speed of deployment. And in some of the newer spectrum availability, it's just around getting the spectrum auctioned and available and clear for operators to launch. And also the ability to get new site acquisition, particularly with small cells in dense urban areas, and getting through that process is what will affect the rollout timings.
Terrific insights. Last question, Todd, this is, how has the pandemic situation affected Active Surgical?
Well, it's a very unique situation if you think about it. First of all, our doctors and nurses are what they're focused on right now, and the most important thing is they're doing some amazing things, and we should all be thankful to have them. The work that those important, the way they've treated and helped patients. So procedures have been down in hospitals, what they call elective procedures, but to be honest, it hasn't really affected Active Surgical on the procedure volume, because at this point, because we're pre-510K, we're not dependent on revenue at this particular point. And I highlighted our tremendous partners and their investors and people that believe in us. We've had the plan to get through this year and next year anyway, with funding as we're preparing for our FDA. But at the end of the day, the one unique thing about MedTech is if a patient needs a procedure, they're going to get the procedure, and that's why our doctors and our nurses are preparing. It just may be later, where it's different from some retail businesses or some food businesses. If you don't have dinner tonight at a restaurant because they're not open, you're going to have dinner probably at home. But if you don't have a total knee surgery or a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, a removal of the gallbladder, you still need that. So that'll turn on when procedures go. But as far as the only thing from a smaller company, we just have Tom and team and our head of operations, Arthur, have done a wonderful job of making sure that our suppliers are getting us the technology that we need, because many of it is from global. So you feel like anybody else. You have some delays here and there, a few weeks here and there, but the team was prepared for them, and they're doing a great job.
Excellent. Gentlemen, I took the liberty to extend it by a couple of minutes, but this has been a very engaging conversation. I could see there's some questions that we could still not cover. We will take them, note it down, and send back those answers. I must say it has been an absolutely enlightening 60 minutes. I never realized the time getting elapsed. Proud to have hosted all of you, and thanks for the audience. The questions are absolutely deeper, going further inside. On behalf of InnoMinds, I once again thank all of you for making this a successful first edition of Powering the Digital Next series of virtual fireside chats. We're going to continue having disruptive technology leaders and business leaders joining us in the upcoming series. And everyone stay safe and take care. And then we're going to send a recording of the session for every one of you who've registered, who could make it and also not make it. We will make this available on our website, and we will continue to bring the best of the insights that we could. Please write to us at marketing@innominds.com with your valuable suggestions, and we will look forward to learn from that. Together, we're going to live in a better world, and technologies like this are confluently working together. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, guys. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.